Hello my little English angels, I hope you've had a good 2 weeks. I'm sorry I wasn't around, I got a little bit distracted with the task of turning 30.
Why, God, why?
I thought I'd be really cool and okay with it, but it turns out I was not. But it got me thinking about a lot of idioms we have around age and some different ways we refer to different generations in England that you might often see if you like to read articles in English during your English practice or listen to anything really. It's often referred to in the news. I'm going to talk through some idioms around age. I didn't turn 30 very well. It's so cliche. We're meant to be cool about it these days, but as I saw a writer refer to it, I was very Rachel Green about it.
Happy birthday, Grandma! It's better to be over the hill than buried under it.
Yep. Over the hill is an expression we often use to say someone is old. They're past the peak of life. Another shorter expression is to say we're past it. We're not relevant anymore. We are past doing certain things. A less commonly used one is old-timer. I don't think I'm quite an old-timer yet. I'm still clinging on to the fact that I'm a bit of a spring chicken. Although I do need to start being careful to not look like I'm mutton dressed as lamb. One thing's for sure, I'm no longer a whippersnapper. My teenage years are long behind me. And my tweenage years are even further behind me. Tweenager is a reference we use to children that are about age 9 to 12. They're not quite hitting puberty yet, but they're starting to get interested in kind of pop music and things that maybe their older siblings and peers like. So now I've given you some idioms and expressions around age, I want to talk about the different generations often referred to in England and America. First, we'll take it right back to the baby boomers. The baby boomers are those that were born post-war up until about 1960. For the age of the baby boomers, life was becoming more prosperous and optimistic again. It was quite easy for people to find jobs. Now many baby boomers will be comfortably retired. Then came Generation X. These were people born between 1960 and 1980. These are the Friends generation. These were the people that were young and in their 20s when Friends were young and in their 20s, so that's a typical pop culture reference we associate with Generation X. They're also known for being more cynical than their baby boomer parents, perhaps. And in the UK, there were subcultures within Generation X, such as laddism and Manchester, when people were quite leery. Drinking was getting more and more common in England, and there was that attitude that men will be men, they were lads. There was also yuppies.
This time next year, we will be millionaires.
A yuppie was someone, mostly I think in the 1980s, that was living in London, had a successful job in the city, perhaps working in banking. They liked to flash their cash and have flashy cars and designer things. It's a very materialistic culture. And then we had Generation Y, more commonly known and referred to as millennials. Millennials were born from 1980 to just before the new millennium. We have a reputation of being pampered, but I can promise you, being a millennial in the north of England, things were still pretty tough, like we were definitely not pampered. The age of millennials is also known as the digital age. This is when we started doing everything online, from the birth of MSN up to now, where everyone takes selfies at every opportunity.
But first, let me take a selfie.
We're known for living life behind the screen, which is quite sad. Hopefully Generation Z will be able to fix that. Generation Z are people born around and after the turn of the century. They are the teens and young people of today. They're actually getting a bit of a reputation for being activists because of all the mess and climate change and plastic in the ocean that generations before them have created. They're becoming quite a conscious generation. We see the school strikes against climate change. They're quite woke, to be fair, and hopefully they will be able to make the world a better place. So tell me, do you feel a bit of an old timer, or are you more of a spring chicken? Which generation do you fall into, and what pop culture references do you think are typical from your country of growing up at the time? I remember when I grew up there was always a craze on the school playground, like yo-yos or Pokemon cards. I'd love to know if there was anything like that that you typically identified with your childhood in your generations. I hope you liked this video and found it useful. If you did, please subscribe. I post new videos for English learners every Sunday evening. Apart from when I'm having breakdowns about turning 30, obviously. You can also follow me for 1 minute a day English tips on Instagram at Charlie's English Channel. And if you've come across this video accidentally and you'd like to get into teaching English online, follow me on YouTube at Charlie Berry, where I share tips about teaching English online. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.